You see, I've been wondering that in the next minute I can be fine, I can be on top of my goals and ambition. But again, at the same time, I feel I am behind everything, like I'm back in the shackles of darkness, where the pillow is a companion. You see, in the next minute, I feel that I'm gonna do better, I'm okay, I'm fine. But again, in the next minute, I feel, oh no, I cannot manage this, I cannot do nothing about this. Is there a way? Is it possible that one is gonna heal from the pain of losing a loved one? Hi, Mulibwanji, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people of goodwill on a beautiful Sunday as it is today. On the segment Tikambe with Paul with a topic which is part 2 in Memoriam. So from last week, we sincerely apologize for some technical issues that are going on around, that are not able to upload part 1 of Tikambe. In Memoriam, we didn't really upload it on time, but we had to upload it instead the other week. But then at the same time, we still trust the timing of the Lord that we are able to have it uploaded, and we are also having this episode in place, which is part 2, as I said in the previous episode. Now, I would not want to say this episode as a continuation, but rather I'm going to treat it as an independent episode in itself, in the sense that the experience of death, or how people get to experience death, is not always the same. Due to temperamental issues, due to different experiences, the bonding, the attachment, and also what just surrounds a human soul when it comes to attachment, as well as anxious or anxiety. Now, you see, when we navigate issues to do with death, or when we begin to talk about death, death is not an easy topic that we can talk about, because in the first place, this is something that is not quite familiar with the soul. Despite that we move with death always and all the time, it also doesn't mean that we are familiar, or someone has got a master's, or someone has got a degree, or someone has got a PhD in dealing with issues of death. Actually, we are all beginners when it comes to death. And there is just an ascension that I always give people to say, no matter how you hated the person, no matter what wrong they did to you, there is just a way in which when this person dies, there's just a certain realization that comes to us. There's a certain awakening that comes to us. So, oh yeah. Instead of focusing on the bad, there's just a way you begin to cultivate the good that this person possessed. Is a way in which you begin to appreciate who this person was. And that is why theologians sometimes they will begin to tell us that sometimes you don't need to look at death as the end of everything. Actually, death is not the end of everything, but death is the beginning of something new. Just like what Thomas More in his book Care of the Soul says, he says that the end of something is the beginning of something. And in this episode, I want you to look at death actually as a transitioning point. I want you to look at death as something that transitions us to something of a different form or state. And this is what begins to breed or to give hope in us. It doesn't end there. Actually, something on the other side begin to happen. And so when our loved one encounter death, or even us ourselves at some point when we get to encounter death, it doesn't simply mean that that is the end, or it doesn't that simply means that this is where everything is concluded. Quite correct. Here, on the physical present age, everything gets to be concluded here. But then you must also understand that it is the beginning again on the other side of where originally the soul came from. So I've been giving people some bit of philosophical questions to say, if your loved ones were to come back today and they just get to check what you're doing or what you're working on right now, would they be pleased, or would they be happy to find you in a state in which you're in? Would they be happy to find you that you're having a low nature, you started some addictions, you became careless with your life? Now, this is the first thing that I want to bring to attention when we begin to say you can heal in death. Now, healing in death in this regard, I don't want you to take it as healing per se, but I want you to take it as caring. How do you continue to care for the wound? Because that is going to take a long period of time. Sometimes we are going to die with that scar at some point. And in my study about trauma and wounds, one of the things that I've just learned or come to appreciate is that there are certain wounds that we shouldn't even try by all means to rub them so that they go. There are certain wounds that we shouldn't be quick to say this should go away, this should be there, and so on and so forth. But I feel that there should be a certain level to which we should appreciate certain wounds that are not even healing at all. Yeah, because even when wounds are not healing, that is healing also. When you stop forcing a wound to heal, then you have also started the healing process. I don't know if I'm making sense with what I'm saying. You see, there is the law of nature, or the universal law, or the law of the universe rather, which says that when you stop chasing something, that thing begins to chase you. So sometimes when we begin, or when we stop to force healing, that is when healing begins to happen. When we begin to say, okay, I need to heal, I need to get out of this, I need this to get out of me. When you stop doing that and begin to live with each moment of your day, that is when healing begins. So you do not need to force memories to go away. You do not need to force feelings to go away. You do not need to distract yourselves when emotions become overwhelming. You do not need to do that. Sometimes you just need to be there. So sometimes when we allow ourselves to be still and just lay there, is what will begin to breed in us the kind of an understanding that healing begins to flow in our lives. Now, as I was saying, that there are certain wounds in us that they are going to appreciate in us, they're going to stay with us, they're going to be with us for a longer period of time because of what and who these people were in our lives. So they're going to stay, they're going to operate, they're going to stay for as long as we can imagine. But then at the same time, you are also going to realize that you can't just be watching the wound. It is going to cut some maggots. They're going to cut some bad smell. You will continue to navigate, cultivate it, and also to clean it, so that as it's taking its longest course to heal, it is also being cared for. And so that is what certain wounds like that of death calls for. There's a lot of care, there's a lot of carefulness, there's a lot of responsibility that one needs to play so that they can be able to get through that dark hole in which they are in, or the dark hole in which death had put them in place. Because there's a lot of adjustments that needs to be done. There's a lot of acceptance, actually a lot of acceptance. There should be a lot of surrender, a lot of surrender. And in the Christian context, it is a journey that needs a lot of grace. Without grace, without God's intervention, this process is a little bit hard and difficult. To some extent, therapists to help, psychologists to help, but at the same time, you are going to realize that there is something that you must do as an individual. There is something that must be appreciated at an individual level. So what am I trying to put in place, or what am I trying to paint here? What I'm trying to paint here is, number one, you must learn to live with the uncomfortable feelings. And the uncomfortable feelings is when different memories are going to flash, good or bad memories altogether. So first of all, you're going to remember the good days. You're going to remember the gifts they used to give you, long calls they used to give you, how much they used to push you to be a better version of yourself. But at a certain time, you are also going to remember how much they used to make you sad at some point, how much they disappointed you, they never fulfilled certain promises, whereas in you also discovered certain disappointing scenes and scenarios of their lives. That is a normal process in which the processing of the psyche, which needs to react and act independently in a person, will begin to take its course. So there are certain times where you wake up in the morning or during the day or whatever you're doing, good memories together with the bad, they just grip on your mind, and you'll be like, oh, how am I going to navigate it? So you must also embrace them. Do not choose which memories you're going to embrace or what you are going to take. No, just remain with them, appreciate them, and at the end of the day, surrender them. Just talk to yourself, Paul, I had this memory with this particular person, I had this life that I shared with this particular person, but they died. But I want to surrender them, I appreciate them, I acknowledge them, and they're part of me. And this is what the mystics, especially if I'm to borrow also the words of Thomas More, who said, this is where such memories become the shadows of the soul. So they're going to become a part of us, and they will remain straightforward to be a part of us, and they'll continue to take course, they'll continue to give us a certain realization of our lives. That's the first thing. Then the second thing that you must always appreciate when you're going through the pain of losing a loved one is never stop talking about them. Now, there is a conflict here, and there's a contradiction where people will always tell you to say, no, stop talking about them, you must learn to move on, and so on. There's a bit of watery misconception there where people say move on. Sometimes I get to question people, what do they mean when they say I need to move on? You see, you cannot move on if you have not healed. You cannot move on if you have not accepted. You cannot move on if you have not come to terms with the situation. So me, the first thing that I will really encourage people to do, the first thing is, number one, first live with the experience. Live with the experience, become familiar with the experience, accept it, exhaust the moment that you felt you never exhausted, just right at that very same spot. Then after you realize that you have exhausted the moment, you have become better, now that's when you move on. You move on without leaving anything behind. If I'm to use one of the metaphors that one of the legendary leaders of Africa, Shaka Zulu, where he used to say, never leave an enemy behind, because when they stand up, they are going to thrust your throat badly. I've just paraphrased it. So what Shaka meant is, as you are going into battle, make sure you don't leave your enemy behind. So when we say move on, you are not telling the person the truth in totality. You are making them to move on prematurely. So sometimes learn to tell people to say, hang in there, stay there, just remain there, just be there, live with the moment, live with the uncomfortability, live with the tears, live with the pain, live with the confusion, live with the paradox of life. Now, when these things begin to drive themselves home, when the emotions find their place, when the psychology find its place, when the spirituality find its place in the loss, now that's when you move on. And this is why a lot of people, they are moving on but still hurt and traumatized. But you listening to this episode, I do not want you to make this mistake. Hang in there. And me, I'm going to tell you, if you want to embark yourself on the healing journey, do not convince yourself that you are okay. Not until odds, not until experience, not until the environment itself declare that you are okay. Then that's when you begin to move on. So what am I simply saying is, continue to talk about it. Continue to share with close people how you feel, how you miss them. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's not even evil. Actually, that's that is making you human. You express, no, I miss my father, I miss my mother, I miss my sister, I miss my sibling. I wish this kind of a person was here. Now things would have been here. That doesn't simply mean that you're still holding on. Actually, do not expect to move on or to let go something that meant a lot to you. Take time, baby. Take time, sweetheart. With time, that will begin to take its place, and you are going to find a perfect way to navigate yourself in those areas. So do not fasten the healing process. Number 3, always confide in a healthy community. Now, when I mean a healthy community, I do not mean that you should now be loud with the loudest community, the whole compound, the whole town, the whole city. No, the kind of a community that I mean, these are trusted friends, family members, or people that you confide in, maybe at church or social entities. These are people that you are able to be yourself, no matter how ugly the situation is, no matter how dark the experience you want to share. No man is an island, they say. So there's a danger in which you say certain things we just have to keep them to ourselves, and I know a lot of trust has been compromised. People that we shared our intimate issues with, they broadcast it on social media and so on. It's very unfortunate, and I'm sorry if you are in such a situation, but always give yourself a chance. People are not always the same. There are certain people that you can always trust. There are certain people that you can always confide in, and those people, they'll be able to help you to navigate and sometimes confide in people that you know they were in such a situation similar like you, but they got over that experience in a healthy way with no any distraction. Those are the people that you need to get to learn how did they come to terms with that situation. It's not always that they're going to give you the satisfying answer, because as I've said, losing a loved one is an individual experience, but there are certain general things that we always relate when we're going through pain. So those are the things that you can begin to learn and begin to narrow it to your own individual experience, so that is able to help you to go through certain issues that you are going through at that particular point. Number 4, the most important thing that I would tell you is that continue to live positively, continue achieving your dreams, continue becoming ambitious the way you were when they were alive. If you are not that such kind of a person, in honor of them, do something in memory of them. Now, if for example you're pursuing your degree or your diploma, or you're in college or university, give it your best in honor of them, because there's nothing that will fulfill someone who died when they see you there above, to see you that you're achieving your goals. There's nothing that satisfies them, and in return there's nothing that is going to satisfy you. So you want to mourn your loved one in a healthy way, do something best for them. Break a record that has never been broken in the family. Do something incredible that has never been done before in one's life. And that's the only way you begin to honor the souls of the departed. There is a component in which we have completely forgotten how do we honor those that have gone before us. So for example, someone was sponsoring in school, you don't need to stop. No, because they died. These are the people that were helping me to be in school. Then you stop completely. Then you're not honoring them. So you're going to honor them when you continue schooling, getting good grades, and giving it the best. If this is someone that introduced you to business, continue to do the best in honor of them. If these are the people that used to mentor you, continue to live a healthy and positive life. These are some of the ways in which they will begin to tell you that you are honoring and living well with these people that died before us. So learn to honor the memories of your loved one. It is very sad that after the death of someone, people went back to different ways of life. Life that has never been there, you discover someone started drinking, and I'm not harshly judging them, because I understand how pain takes, but you discover that they lose the motivation, they lose the strength, they lose the courage, they lose everything. No, that should not be the case. Pick up, brother, pick up, sister, and just choose the life of being positive in honor of your loved one. The number 5 thing is you don't need to completely let go of the memories that you had. I remember my father left a wooden basket that he was working on, as I shared in the previous episode. That basket, we still have it here until now. So that reminds us of him. And there are certain tools that he used to use when he was doing his carpentry work. We still have them here. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have not moved on, but those are the things that remind us that we had this particular person in our lives, and that reminds us to say, God, we had a blessing in our midst, and may you continue to be honored, and may you continue to be appreciated altogether. So do not rush to throw away all the photos, do not rush to throw away everything, not simply because I want to move on. I think that is an unhealthy way of dealing with this. A little bit, some of these things will begin to take course. There are certain things at a certain phase of life you're going to realize that I don't need this anymore. I've lived the moment, I've exhausted the moment, I've healed, I've moved past this phase. So everything, it is well, and it is working well in ourselves. And so give yourself a little bit more other chance. I might have said this in the previous episode, but number 6, I'd rather say, do not go hard on yourself. I know there are times you begin to mourn and regret, and actually a lot of people, if you're to follow the trend very well, a lot of people are not mourning healthy. A lot of people are mourning in regret because they're remembering, I wish I had picked their course. I wish I had done this. I wish this is what I did. But do not go hard on yourself. Go low on yourself. Don't be tough on yourself. Appreciate yourself. But then accept that sometimes it's not a person or two people at fault. Sometimes it's the situation that is at fault. Maybe you didn't realize that this person is going to die. That is why you acted the way you acted. So do not be hard on yourself. Go easy on yourself. If the healing phase is to take its course in our lives, we should at a certain point reach where we are no longer going hard on ourselves or becoming tough on ourselves. But we should try by all means to be soft. We should try by all means to try to mourn by not condemning ourselves so much, by not saying, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd gone this extra mile. It happened. The best thing that you can still remain doing is remain to be a good person. Even after or before this person, remind yourself that you will continue to be a good person and you will continue to bring out the best in yourself. Last but not the least, it's a process. You're going to feel better the next moment, you're going to feel bad the other moment. Give yourself a little bit more time. Give yourself and relax it. So this process will be the same this year, the other year. Then you feel like you're not making progress. But the day you are going to realize, or when you're going to see how much progress you have made, you are going to realize that actually this is what was happening. So in all of this, in all that I've shared today, always remember that healing is a process. So you need to forgive yourself. If you're being harsh, you need to take time to process all this. Do not run away from it. Be at home. Embrace the pain. Embrace the situation. Embrace the loss. It is only when we can embrace the pain, it is only when we can embrace the loss that we begin to feel better. But when we begin to suppress and to run away from it, they will continue to chase us, and not until we give them attention. So, as I've written in my previous books, that emotions are also attention seeking. You don't give them attention, they're going to find means and ways in which they will seek attention from you. Not until you face them, you attend to them, you befriend them. So, as I'm ending this episode, I want to ask you a question. How much have you befriended the loss of your loved one? And how much have you appreciated the loss of your loved one? And then how much do you try every day to heal that situation? And so, friends in the Lord, one thing that I want to remind you today, earnestly and strongly, is God is love, God cares, and God is with us. You have not lost. There is a certain way in which these things will make sense with time or at a certain time. All that I'll tell you is hang in there, continue to remain positive, continue to do what you are doing. Do not forget them, do not forget their names, continue to pray for them, continue to remember to do good things for them, but here on earth. Continue to dedicate charity in their name or on behalf of them, and live a positive life that wherever they are, they will remain pleased here on earth. At no point, never grieve, never make the soul of a departed one very sad, where they're able to see that the person I left on earth has remained miserable. But prove to them that your death left a seed in me, a seed that will continue to be great, a seed that will continue to germinate into a very positive human being. Otherwise, I continue to wish you all the best. I continue to wish you that you remain open to the experience and to the loss. Do not isolate yourself so much. Do not disconnect yourself from humanity. Do not disconnect yourself from church. Do not disconnect yourself from God. Actually, after this phase, remain more connected, remain more resilient, so that you continue to find the help that you need, so that 10 years, 5 years from now, you will become a lesson and experience that other people will learn from. And other people, they'll find it easy to heal because they've seen it from you that it is possible. Now imagine it is out of your experience that you need to help thousands and many people to become better, but you self-sabotage that, or you block that. Now imagine how many people you block them into becoming better. It is my prayer, it is my desire that at this point, remain open. Just tell yourself you deserve to become better after this. So embrace the pain, embrace the experience. With time, everything is gonna be all right. I don't know when, I don't know which year, but one day, someday, one time, you are going to champion through this experience. I wish you well. I wish you God's blessings. I wish you God's healing. And I wish that may God continue to restore the joy, the happiness that you have lost when you are grieving the pain of losing your loved one. You have been interacting with me, Paul Mzakazi Piri, on the topic part 2 in Memoriam, on the segment Dikambe with Paul. Please join us next week on a different topic which will be uploaded and which will be posted, so that we prepare our mind, and continue to subscribe to this channel, like the video.